Hi, my friend. Happy Monday. So today we have kind of three major things. One is the Secret Lives of Color, block number 24. We have the Quilts for Ukraine, getting that started for those of you who want to make a quilt to send to or auction. I've got some thoughts on that. And also I have a few more jelly sizzle tips because this week we're building the blocks and I'm building mine. And so as I'm doing that, if I find something I think might be helpful, I have a little, I taped a video. So, okay, let's do the Secret Lives of Color first. Here's my book. We are now in the pink section, and I've read the front, because the front of each section there is like an overview that talks about pink, and one of the focuses of this color for the overview anyways is the pink are girls and blue is boys. So it has a very interesting take on history. She goes and tells you a little bit about how that's actually a fairly new thing, and it used to actually be reversed, that boys wore pink and girls got blue. That is fascinating to me. I never heard that. And then each color within there has a story. And the first color is totally was nothing I expected. So our first color for this chapter is called Baker Miller Pink. And that's kind of a Pepto-Bismol pink. For those of you who know the Pepto-Bismol antacid liquid, it's a bright pink. So I went, and that doesn't have anything to do with that either. The chapter is fascinating. I can't wait for you to read it. So I went digging around and I found my little fashionista ladies. This was from a fabric line that had a lot of Paris related things. So I made my block with her, and I'm on a 3-inch for this particular block. So here's a 3.5-inch square, and she just fit. Look at this. Look at this. Now I have a tip because this is a directional fabric, and I wanted all of the ladies and their parts to be right side up. I didn't want them sideways or upside down. So let's watch. In order to do my little fashionistas here all being the same direction when I put it in the block, I need to do my half square triangles with them angled differently. So you see here that the sewing lines are opposite corners, and I just have them the sideways direction so that when I flip it, you can see. Now I have this person standing, going right sides up, and then when I flip it this way, there you're just going to get feet, but it's also right sides up. And this one, so that when I put them in the block, they will all be going the correct direction. So let me show you that. Having sewn those directional fabrics opposite ways for the half square triangles, I now have everybody with the top at the top of the block, so they can all be the same direction. Otherwise, a few of them would be like this. If I had, not done them, if I'd done both the blocks the same direction, 2 of them would end up being sideways people. And I don't want sideways people. I want everybody facing up. So there we go. That works out super well. It's very easy. You just need to take a little bit of time to be sure that you're doing them opposite and not doing them identical, and you're good to go. So my section, I think I pointed to the wrong one last time, but I'm on this second section for this row, which means I have these 2 guys to sew up with the new pink one. So these will be putting together, and I can then sew this section to that first one and show you the next time. We have a Secret Lives of Color block, and I did pick all of the shades. I'm finding that's just a little bit easier for me because I'm already in there digging around, so I just go ahead and pick all the shades for that section. All right, let's do the Quilts for Ukraine. There are many of you making quilts that you want to give to either a support function so that they can be shipped over to refugees, or you're doing other things, but you're making a quilt for Ukraine. So let me just first touch on some different ways that people are using a quilt. So first of all, as a fundraiser yourself. So you could raise funds by taking the quilt and auctioning it, raffling it, or somehow selling it and then taking that money and giving it to the like either UNICEF that I have or some other place. So that's one way that you can make a quilt and raise funds, so you don't have to ship it somewhere else and you're actually making money. Another thing people are doing is making the quilt and then giving it to a Ukrainian in their community. That is just wonderful. Something as a show of support. Maybe it's you know, a family that's not been here very long, or somebody who has Ukrainians in their family that are still there, and so it's a show of love and support for that family. And so those are two of the ways that I'm seeing quilts being made, basically as a fundraiser and to give to the community. Now, eventually at some point, wherever you live, whatever country you're in, you might have some refugees coming to your country. So if you watch the news and see what's going on, you'll be able to find out if that happens, and then maybe you can contact them and give the quilt locally. That way you don't have to ship it. For those who want to give and send it to be shipped overseas to the refugees at the camps that they are in, I have the Lutheran World Relief, LWR, and Becky in Poland, who is the sister one of the part of the Quilted Twins, and so you can send it right to Poland to Becky. So I have those two places. There are other places, if you find them. Your local communities are gathering stuff and sending in whatever mechanism they do. I know mine is sending lots of relief things. We're going to make a quilt from my pattern. Let me just put the picture up here. Well, first here's the block. So here's the block, and we're going to make several of these, and then you make them into a quilt. And the quilt size that I have on my pattern, which is here, is compatible for the Lutheran World Relief, which does have a size limit, like a lot of the larger organizations do. They all have kind of a size limit so that it's consistent and helpful for them. So this week, I am going to cut out some blocks. I don't know if I'll cut them all out. I might, but I want to show you a little bit of fabric. That my fabric is all produced with my friends at Benertex. So I work with Benertex, and when they heard about this, they sent me some blue and yellow fabrics. So let's take a look at what they sent. Because I also have the same fabric here that I used in mine, this one right here. But they sent me these really, really pretty, move this, blue and yellow fabrics. So there's some light blues, some medium blues. Okay, I love this. Look at this. Look at that, like a mosaic. Yeah, let me just get this all over here. So the mosaic is in dark, and there's the yellow. So there's two yellows, like as a background and then as a solid. And then I have a lot of yellows. And then here's this beautiful scroll. There's one that's kind of a medium mix, which I think is nice, might be nice for the squares. And then some that same pattern in some other lights. So I have a link at my website today and down below, because this is called, I think, Blue and White Elegance, which also then has, you know, all of these yellows, some yellows in it. And some of the pieces were on sale where I found it. So you might, if you like this fabric, you might want to work with it. You don't have to make a blue and yellow quilt. The Ukrainian flag is blue on the top for the sky and yellow on the bottom for wheat. That is, and of course they would love anything that you made. So I will be cutting up blocks and getting them ready, and I will talk about that on different days as I do it. I might have a little clip as I'm getting organized and showing you. But if you want to sew a quilt like mine, this is the month that we're doing that together, and then sending it and using it how you want in your community. Now there's a few people that have done some extraordinary things with this, and I'd like to give them a shout out. So first of all, I want to shout out to our top 3 donors for UNICEF, which is Jocelyn, who gave $10,000. Just amazing generosity. Kimberly and Kevin Jolly of the Fat Quarter Shop gave $2,000, and Sarah donated $1,000, all for our UNICEF drive, which is now $217,000 for the children of Ukraine. So nice. A couple other things I want to show you is, or tell you about, that Quilting Adventures in Richmond, Virginia is collecting the stars, and then they are going to either raffle the quilt somehow and raise funds. So I'm going to link those in the appropriate places here. Let's see, Phyllis said that they're putting a top together, and once it is done, they're going to sell raffle tickets. So this is another group that is working to do a raffle. And that's really great because it's still producing the money, you still get to make a quilt, and it's just the whole ball and wax is good. There was Barbara spotted on the news channel in Syracuse, New York, where they were showcasing a group that had raised funds, and our star was hanging on the wall. So here's that. That's really cool to see. She didn't make it, but she spotted it and knew exactly where it came from. And I had Patty that was in Branson, Missouri, and she did this version. She used my heart block from the angel food cake, and she colored it blue and yellow. And then they did this to raise money for Convoy of Hope. So that is a group that has people on the ground in Poland. So that was wonderful to see and hear. And the last one is that Leslie in the UK did this. They did a bake sale to raise money, and she had one of the stars hanging in the booth, which also sold. So you just don't know. Everything is out there, all contributing to what's going on. So it's just fabulous. I can't wait. I want to, this block works up quickly, and if you even wanted to save time, you could leave these off and just make stars. But, you know, of course, I have to have the whole thing, I have to do the whole thing. Let's take a look at the Jelly Sizzle, because I want to show you what I have done and give you my little tip. So I have been making the units. It is a square. That's what we have for the Jelly Sizzle. We have a square like this, and then on Friday I'll be talking about laying them out and doing the pinwheel. So all I'm doing until Friday is getting all the squares sewn. I have this many more, and I have a tip for how I went through and sort of shuffled these so that they are not so consistent. So let's take a look. So this Jelly Sizzle ended up with me getting 5 different groupings of fabric, and I have done 4 of the blocks. So here's 4 of them, and I'll show them on the wall later. But I want to show you now what I do to mix up so that there are a variety of fabrics from the different sections. So let's just take a look at what the status is and where everything is. This one I haven't, so this was the 5th grouping, and there it cut into 3. So I haven't sewn the one yet, so that has to go back over to the sewing machine. There was also 1 extra strip from what's needed, and I just cut it into 3 parts so that I will mix it in. Now to get some variety. So I have, you know, these blocks already done. I want to have the next grouping of them to have a different mix of fabrics. So I think for the first round, what I'll do is take 1 group here and then another set. So let me just take this set. So I have these 2. Now I want to take, I'll just take 3 from here and make 1 and 3 from here and make this and add to that and then put those together. So I have 6 again. So it was 3 from the first pile, 3 from the second pile, and then the other 6 over here. And then now I can lay these out, and I can decide, you know, what's a good order. I'm not trying to be too crazy. I just don't want like teal next to teal, you know, that kind of a thing. I want to mix it up, or the same pattern. You know, I like, here's 2 text patterns, so I prefer to mix them up. So they're, then let's put the green over there. So now I've got 6 right here, and that will be another one of these blocks. And that's the process that I will keep going through, will be to take 2 of these over here, take 2 that are different, and take 3 from one, 3 from the other, and make new sets so that the fabric is mixed up. And then I will also take and add in a couple of these here and there. So that would just make it a little bit different, so it gets a little bit more variety. So like on this one here, I could decide, well, instead of putting the words there, I'll go ahead and mix that one in. So I get that mixed in. Or you could just totally leave that out. But you know, I think it'd be fun to mix it in a little bit, have another one. Okay, that means I I'm working here on the weekend, and I'll probably sew these things later in the evening. So I wanted to show you what it looks like before I get diving into them and sewing more blocks. Oops, newsflash. I messed up. I needed actually one more full set of these. You know, that one strip that I had? When I started looking at this, I counted the number of sets that I had left, and I was like a whole set missing. So somewhere along the way, I miscounted the number of strips. So I did have a few more of the light strips. Took another light strip, cut it into 3, totally good. Then intermixed this light dot through 3 different ones. And 2 of the ones that I was showing you had to also be mixed in with other ones, so that I didn't have, you know, the same fabric in one strip set. Okay, so now I'm on track. Now I have everything set, and I can go ahead from this board and just pick up pairs, except for this one. This is the one that I just built, so I can actually put that down so I can sew it. Otherwise, from here I will pick up 2 that are different and redo the order of them, and then they'll be more unique, and they won't look so much the same. I don't want them to look the same. I want it to look much more random. Okay, I'm on track. That's working out for me to give me some variety in each one, and I've shuffled a few more, and finally, like, I'm now ready. Like, I can do the rest of these. I've got them pretty much all ready to go. So today you are going to make your Secret Lives of Color in, what was that called? I want to say Pepto-Bismol pink, but that's not it. It actually has a different name, Baker Miller pink, and you'll find out who Baker and Miller is when you read the story. Mine is so cute, but I can get the sections done now, so I can get that 3 grouping sewn and sew it to the first one for this row. The other thing is your Ukraine quilt. So if you're going to make a quilt for Ukraine, remember I also have the one that I did on Quilt Day. That lattice one, the chunky plus signs, that is also going to get quilted. It is not blue and white, that is, but that's going to get quilted for Ukraine as well. So I'll have 2 that I'm going to send. And if you have not donated yet, the link is in the description box here and at my website today, so you can download the pattern and just, you know, join us in either making 1 block to show solidarity or make a whole quilt this month and get it ready to donate. All right, my friend, I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.